listening to A Band of Gamers, podcasting since 2012. Three older best mates share a few laughs and keep you current with discussions about the latest news, consoles, and games. Join the conversation and the community. abandofgamers.com. Hello, welcome back. Welcome in. A Band of Gamers. What's going on?
Yeah, what the heck, man? What is going on, man? Where have you been? Where we been? Who are you? Right?
What is this? What are we doing here? We've been busy. You know. It's tough getting together every 2 weeks sometimes. This huge time difference between England, Vancouver, and Milwaukee.
It's a tightrope. You know, sometimes it comes down to within minutes of recording. You know, and it's it all goes up in smoke.
Well, we're here, and we've got a lot of news to talk about. So much has happened.
Really?
Yeah. And that's good, because last time we were going to get together and record, and it didn't work out, and there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about. It was kind of slow with news.
Yeah.
Not anymore. Lots going on in this episode. Yet another reason to consider buying the Steam Deck. A ton of news about the past, present, and future of PlayStation. Feel like that thing is really starting to see where that PlayStation 5 is headed.
Oh, yeah.
And then can Carl get the job done in 12 minutes?
Can he?
Thanks for joining us. You can listen to our past episodes on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeart, Pandora, YouTube, whatever. Wherever you listen to podcasts, we're there. Be sure and give us a follow or a subscribe, depending on which app it is. Get each new episode as soon as it's released. I'm Joel, your MC, recording in Brookfield, Wisconsin, USA. Joining me on this podcast journey, my two best mates, first of all, from Birmingham, England. He didn't foster fail. It's Carl. Hey, Carl.
Hey. Yep. We didn't foster fail. We've had this lovely little staffy buttercup now for 5 months almost. And we met her potential new owners yesterday. So it's just been a really nice weekend. A bit tinged with a bit of sadness, but this kid, great dog, man. She's just come on leaps and bounds these past few months, and it's been a real privilege, you know, to be a part of a kind of rehabilitation and set her up with a nice couple now. These two chaps are going to look after her for the rest of the years, man. It's just a good feeling, chaps, to, you know, do a bit of good.
Yeah, nice to hear that she's going to be going to a good home. You've had her for quite a while, and it's going to be, I'm sure, a sad day to see this one off there. Man. Tears and happiness.
There'll be some ugly crying next weekend for sure.
It's like an episode of ABOG. Tears, laughter, happiness, all in one episode. From Vancouver, Canada, frostbitten, twice bar down. It's Shane. What's happening, Shane?
Yeah, man. I'm getting fired up for Puck Drop, man. It's coming up soon here, the start of the hockey season. I'm actually fired up for hockey this year, man. It's gonna be good. And even so much, I decided to don my Winter Classic Detroit Red Wings jersey from 2009, my Pavel Datsyuk jersey. So yeah, a little fired up, man. We're getting ready. You know, NHL 22 is coming out mid-March. Got it pre-ordered, locked and ready to go. So we're gonna get some puck drop action pretty quick here.
Looking good, man. In that jersey, sharp jersey from 2009. Still looks still white.
Right?
Still
got a little.
Yeah, no grass stains on that bad boy. Looking good.
Yeah, I try not to, you know. But hey, just for you guys.
xCloud on the Steam Deck. We talked about the Steam Deck last episode. I think that was last episod. A long time ago.
Last episode.
We did talk quite a bit about that with Adrian, if I recall. But Phil Spencer on his Twitter said, was at Valve Software this week talking with Scott, Eric, Gabe. What the fuck? Okay, let me try that again. He was at Valve Software this week talking with Scott, Eric, Gabe about Steam Deck. After having mine most of the week, I can say it's a really nice device. Games with me on the go. Screen size, controls great. Playing Halo and Age feels good. xCloud works well. Congrats, SD team. Hey, so the Steam Deck's going to allow you to play some Xbox games through the xCloud. Another reason to own that device.
Oh, yeah. you've seen a lot of these coming out to influencers now, and people are starting to get their hands on with it, all positive, or a lot of people really enjoying this. And yeah, man, you can it's got a browser, you can get the apps on there, just that Xbox library on the go.
Pretty slick. Sony announced the release date and various versions of Horizon Forbidden West via their blog. Most importantly, the release date, February 18th, 2022. That's when we're going to see the next Horizon Forbidden West, or the next Horizon Zero Dawn game. Pretty cool.
It's coming out quick.
Yeah, not too far off.
February's, it's only a matter of months, and they've been teasing a lot of little clips and a little bit of gameplay footage, and it's looking pretty.
It sure is. And I got a headache just reading all the different versions of this game that's coming out with all the different junk.
Oh yeah, you got to have your standard, and then your gold, and then your premium version, and throughout all that you get a whole bunch of skins, I imagine, and then they usually toss in like a soundtrack and digital art books and all sorts of goodies.
That's exactly right.
It's kind of like buying a car from a dealership. It's just
wow.
Like, this is your regular model, and this is all the stuff with the bells and whistles and all the add-ons. It gets a bit confusing, man.
Yeah, but at least when you buy a car, you don't have to put like a big statue of something on the den shelf.
That's true.
There's one of those too. There's like some huge statue or something version. Yeah, whatever. The point of note here with the news and the announcement was the fact that the pricing, the standard edition on PlayStation 4 was $59.99, and the PS5 version $69.99. Sounds normal, right? That's typical, I think, these new next-gen games. They had previously announced, however, that the PlayStation 5 version would be free to PlayStation 4 game purchasers. So, of course, the internet got all mad.
Yep.
Came after Sony. How dare you? You told us this would be free, the upgrade. So having a price difference between PS4 and PS5 makes no sense. If, obviously, you buy the PS4, you get the PS5 for free. Why the hell would they charge you more for the PS5 version? And then the backtracking commenced. They listened to the internet complaining, apparently. So Horizon Forbidden West's free upgrade, PS4 to PS5, is back on. This is what Sony Interactive President and CEO Jim Ryan said. Last year, we made a commitment to deliver free upgrades for our cross-gen launch titles, which included Horizon Forbidden West. While the pandemic's profound impact pushed Forbidden West out of the launch window, we will stand by our offer. Players who purchase Horizon Forbidden West on PS4 will be able to upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version for free. I also want to confirm today that moving forward, PlayStation first-party exclusive cross-gen titles, newly releasing on PS4 and PS5, both digital and physical, will offer a $10 US dollars digital upgrade option from PS4 to PS5. So this will apply to the next God of War, Gran Turismo 7, and any other exclusive cross-gen PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 titles published by Sony.
Nice.
Yeah. So some backtracking, sticking to their word there, but then also making it clear this is the last time. From here forward, it's $10 more for the PlayStation 5 version. I do like the upgrade option. So if you buy the PlayStation 4 version, you can just for $10 more get the PS5 version. You don't have to go buy that whole the whole other disc. That's good.
Yeah. Is it weird that I didn't even realize that this was a thing, and I was just because I'm probably going to pick this up, but I do need to finish the first game. I'm pretty close to the end, but I do need to finish that up. But I kind of haven't really thought about this, and I've got the PS4 and a PS5, so surely it makes sense to just buy the PS4 version and get that free upgrade. But I'd probably still just forget about that and buy the PS5 get disc and then be like, okay, could have saved myself a tenner.
Yeah, that's a good point, because they are still charging $69.99 for the PS5 version.
Yeah. Just buy the PS5 version, Carl. Come on, man.
I probably will, because by the time I buy it, I've forgotten that all this existed. So, and it'll be one of the things I just, But to be fair, like for the sake of £10, rather than faffing around with figuring out what version's what, I'd just rather just put it in the machine. So.
I noticed they have one of these for the Tony Hawk game, the remaster that came out not that long ago. You can get the PlayStation 5 version for an extra $10. So, and that's not a first party title. That's obviously a third party title. So it's nice that I thought that was a nice option.
Yeah, and it was the option if you just had the regular version, and if you had purchased the digital deluxe version, then you got it upgraded for free or something, which was $10 more anyway. So
nice.
Yeah.
I'm curious how much better that runs on PlayStation 5. I haven't tried it.
It's pretty.
Haven't paid the $10.
It's a pretty game.
Yeah.
You know. Not jaw-droppingly different, but it's nice, and it takes it uses a bit of the haptic feedback and whatnot. You know, it does use a bit of the controller, which is nice. It's a decent upgrade. You know, if you'd picked up that the digital deluxe and whatnot, you'll have that ready for you. You know, if you haven't got your PS5 yet, be ready, wait, and enjoy.
Being more of the Xbox guy around here, having the Series X for a while, I find it somewhat confusing with the PlayStation 5 when I'm in the stores trying to figure out. I mean, the digital store, trying to make sure I'm buying the right version of a game. Am I getting the PlayStation 5 version? Am I buying the PlayStation 4 version? I don't know. The messaging it's kind of confusing there. I don't know if you guys have struggled with that like I have, but it's not always apparent which version is which in the storefront.
Well, it's still really heavily PS4 in the store. They advertise a lot of that stuff, so you would think that going onto the store on the PS5, it would be prominently PlayStation 5 games and stuff for that console. But they've kind of meshed it all together and whatnot. So it's like if you'd have to like scroll all the way down and specifically go to the PS5 section and then go in there, and then then you'll be making sure that you're getting the PlayStation 5 version and whatnot. But I think as more titles are released and whatnot, they might kind of wean away from showcasing like PS4 games on that home dash of the store on there. But it can be. And I've noticed in the latest PS5 upgrade and whatnot, they're actually putting, if you have both versions of the game downloaded, they're actually separate on the game bar now.
Oh, really?
Personally, I'm not a big fan of them doing that. I kind of like the way it was, but a lot of people were complaining about that. They didn't know which version this was. Well, I was trying to download this one. It definitely was a little confusing at first until you become a lot more familiar with how they're doing stuff on there. So now you will actually see, and it actually states it'll have like the PS5 logo next to the game or the PS4 logo, and if you have them both on there, they will be separate to sort out any confusion and whatnot. They're trying. They're getting there.
Yeah.
But
it's got a little better, hasn't it, mate? To be fair, it's still not great. And considering, obviously, they knew that both consoles existed when it was launched, when it came out, it could have been clearer. I mean, I must admit, I use the PS4 if I'm buying PS4 games, like the cheesy plats and stuff, like the digital stuff. I'll just buy those on the PS4, and if I'm looking for PS5 games, I'll just look for those on the PS5 because I find the PS4 interface, as much as I'd never thought I'd say this, is actually still better than the PS5 one.
Really?
In a lot of ways. If I'm shopping, like I find it a lot easier to just smash through them, and I think it's probably just you've had years and years and years of experience, isn't it? So you're so used to the store interface, although it can be a bit slow and clunky. I'm still more familiar with that than the PS5 one at the minute still. So I'm glad I still got my PS4.
I wish they'd move away from like the Netflix style of looking for things, of like having the square icon for the game. Like I wish they'd kind of get away from that. It seems to be like on every interface, they all look the same. It's always a square box for whatever you're looking at. I think you could get a little bit more nicer design or something, like a bookshelf or whatnot, and you click on the game and it comes out like the whole box art or something. Give it a little bit more of that, I guess personal isn't really the word, but a little bit more like like you're buying a game. I don't know.
I like that. You've probably never seen it, Shane, but on Steam, if you own the Mega Drive classics, or the Genesis classics, which I do, you go into your Steam library and you actually see like a 1990s bedroom.
Yep.
That's superb. TV, and there's a little two shelves, and it's just got the Genesis games on there, and with the box art. And I love that. I almost go into there just to see which ones have I got. I have a little look in my collection. I do love that interface.
Yeah.
I like that idea too. Having it more like a store,
right?
The experience of going to the store and buying a game.
Exactly.
This is something that's going away. It's just I'm all digital right now, so I don't really go to the store and get discs anymore. But I used to love going to the store and just browsing, reading the box art, maybe come home with something that I never expected would have bought.
Right. And they have that, just incorporate a little bit of that experience into storefronts. For buying digital stuff and whatnot.
But do you think, playing devil's advocate just a little bit with this, but do you also think that that's just kind of, what's the best word for this? It's kind of like something that, we are of that age where we used to go to a store and we used to buy a game based on the picture on the box, and there was no review, there weren't really reviews, and like magazines are only just kind of a thing. Like it's for us, it's kind of a comforting, that nostalgia. But for obviously a lot of people, younger people now who play video games, that never experienced that, they're only ever going to buy a game based on reviews or coverage of it. So that feeling, I know exactly what you mean, John. I like to go. I don't like being around a lot of people in stores, but I do like to go into a store and pick up the games and look through them, and But I think that's just because it's a bygone thing for me,
Yeah, no question. It's a nostalgia thing for sure. I don't think the younger generations would really appreciate that necessarily, and they've grown up with Netflix and all the digital services, so they're probably more accustomed to the boxes and that whole experience. I just find, back on point here, the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 versions to be really clunky. I haven't fired it up in a while though, so Shane, maybe it's better now. That's good news, because they really need to do a better job kind of separating,
yeah,
so you can kind of tell. But there was a time when I was thinking about picking up some Call of Duty because a buddy of mine plays it all the time, and
nice.
It's like, why don't you jump in there with me? I'm like, well, I suck at it. He's like, who cares? We'll just have fun. I'm like, all right. But then I was trying to figure out which version was which in the store, and having a bear of a time. I wanted the play. There's two versions of it. There's a PlayStation 5 version, a PlayStation 4 version. I didn't want to choose the wrong one, and I found myself reading a lot of fine print just to figure out which one was which, and it was really kind of frustrating. And I ended up not buying it because I wasn't sure. Like, I don't want to get the wrong one here. Been spoiled by that smart delivery,
right?
With the Xbox. I really like that. It just knows which system you're using and gives you that version of that game. You don't have to dick around with an extra $10. You don't have to dick around with different versions. There's only one version in the store, and then it'll decide which one it delivers to you depending on which system you're using. Way easier. A little bit of PlayStation's past here. Former PlayStation boss Shawn Layden, remember him?
Legend.
Reveals why he left the company 2 years ago. This is a Bloomberg article. He said, it's a young person's activity. I felt this is a good time to put the pin in my legacy. And the timing being right between PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 is launch. So when Shawn Layden left, so 2 years ago. More interesting, though, in this Bloomberg article, at least to me, he said that game development seems to double in cost every platform. Double in cost every platform. That's staggering. So if game development was already expensive in PlayStation 4,
right,
it's double now potentially the amount of money to develop a game on PlayStation 5. Layden said, noting that his budgets for recent big PlayStation 4 titles each hit $100 million.
Jeez.
To make a big... these are the big ones, right? Horizon, sure. God of War, Last of Us 2. If we can't stop the cost curve from going up, all we can do is try to de-risk it. That puts you in a place where you're incentivized towards sequels. He predicted that PlayStation 5 games will cost $200 million to make, and that prices will continue to grow exponentially from there. The result of these higher budgets is an endless cavalcade of stale annual releases in ubiquitous series like Call of Duty and Madden. At the same time, every publisher is chasing the latest billion-dollar trends, from Candy Crush to Fortnite to Roblox. Another quote here, what happens there is you end up with 3 to 4 silos of games or game types that continue to exist, and variety is squeezed out. We are seeing this happen, right? We've had a million Gears of War and Halo and God of War just rebooted. Now there's more of those, and I think we see this in Hollywood too quite a bit, where they just they just make the same fucking movies over and over and over again because they know people are going to buy them. They're going to sell tickets. It's low risk. They're putting so much money into the film, the actors, the production, the soundtracks, and everything. Let's make sure we don't just spend this money on something that's not going to sell tickets, not going to sell DVDs. And the same thing is happening here in video games. And I wonder if it's going to get worse. If the costs of development is double now, are we going to see even more of the same games or the same types of games and these companies taking less risks?
Yeah. You're definitely seeing it. Everything's, and we've talked about it numerous times over the past few years, and everything's got to have a battle royale mode. Everybody's got to do kind of the same thing, and play it safe, to make sure you do hit your quota of how many units you need to move. And fortunately, it is only going to get worse.
Absolutely. I mean, it's the biggest entertainment industry in the world, isn't it? And they can't afford to have too many duds, especially given the costs involved, and likewise, the cost of innovation it's difficult because we now live in a world where games are, they're put on, in the public eye, they're put on a pedestal, if you like, by influencers, by streamers, by so if you're making an indie game, you got to kind of hope that it gets traction, with the word influencers, content creators, all that. You've got to hope that it gets picked up and it gets some momentum, and because there's such a volume of low quality, simple indie games that come out, and it's easy to get buried amongst that lot. So it seems that there's no balance in the middle, where it's super expensive, super cheap, and it's that middle ground where you want a new IP or you want something just to take your breath away a little bit, that looks great, that plays great, with a great story, and having that kind of investment in it is difficult if it's not at the top end. So it's a crazy way games are going.
Yeah, and we've seen Sony, I think, do a very good job of coming up with new IPs. Even though there's this tremendous cost of development, it's a very risky proposition, obviously, to launch a Horizon Zero Dawn. You got to be really confident you're making yourself a good game. Right. You're spending $100 million on it. So Sony, I think, though, has done a great job with Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us on the PlayStation 3 era, Horizon I just mentioned.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima is probably the best, I think, example. You nailed, like, to come out, kind of that late in a generation, and definitely having the budget upwards of $100 million and whatnot, and hitting it out of the park, really. Then putting it out again on the PlayStation 5, a year later and whatnot. They've definitely hit a few bullseyes with some new IPs, and some not so. And Days Gone and whatnot, which is still, I haven't played myself, but it's still phenomenal game. There's a huge a cult following, dare I say, and whatnot. So
yeah,
there's definitely room to still take some risks at the moment and whatnot, but could it lead to another crash? We don't know, but it could happen. It could lead to that. There's just too much money involved now.
Well, hopefully they'll at least take some risks with the kind of games that they are remastering, remaking, and all the rest of it. Maybe there'll be a little bit more dig into the bottom of the barrel, to see what gold and little gems just haven't been looked at. Perhaps they can make a difference that way.
Yeah, now we got Microsoft, who just bought a bunch of studios and are working on new IPs, I'm sure. But are they going to fall trapped to this as well? I mean, they already have. The Gears of War thing is, the Halos, part of the complaint with Microsoft and why Sony's doing so well right now comparatively especially last generation with the PS4 compared to the Xbox One, was those really great IPs. We've talked about that before. Now we've got Xbox, who's, I think, trying to put out a bunch of great new IPs, but are they going to all of a sudden be like, wait a second, one or two of these didn't sell great. Let's go back to making another version of Gears of War. Hey Bethesda, you're making a new Halo. I'm exaggerating to make a point, but
can you imagine like a Halo in the style of like a Fallout or something along those lines?
Yeah.
Smash hit. Guaranteed.
Yeah, I can.
But do you not think it'd be even worse for them in some respects? Because if they try and innovate in any way like that, won't just get lost in the stuff on Game Pass. Like there's such a volume of choice, getting somebody to take the leap and be like, oh, I'm going to try something new. I know Game Pass is good at that, and it's like, pick me something, I'll play it. But you just think, sometimes you can have too much choice, and then you're like, oh, I'm just going to stick to a comfortable game that I like, rather than taking that punt.
Going a little bit off of our agenda here, but listening to a podcast the other day with Robbie Bach, one of the original founding
guy from Skid Row.
Yeah, Sebastian Bach, Robbie Bach, his cousin, who founded the Xbox originally, was on the team there way back. He was really impressed with Phil Spencer's current approach of how he's handling the business, the direction he's taken it, and very complimentary of Game Pass. Not necessarily the great wealth of games there, but the model for making money. He was saying that model of income, the monthly subscription, can maybe curb this type of problem where you're worried about spending $200 million to making a game. If you're putting it in Game Pass, you're sort of paying for it just in that monthly subscription fee.
Yeah, it kind of just keeps funneling.
Right. Yeah. Right. So maybe they can take more chances, Microsoft, because they have that subscription service compared to having to sell it on the digital storefront or at the store.
And it allows a lot more freedom for indie developers, independent developers, to just kind of like what PlayStation was doing with a lot of theirs over the past couple generations, really, where they can just kind of have free reign and kind of do what they want and come out with some really quirky titles, like some really oddball, what the hell is this type game, like, and really, those type of games I think are really lacking in these later generations now. That quirkiness that you saw back on like PlayStation 2 and even on the original Xbox, there was a lot of really unique type of titles, and it'd be nice to see some of that stuff. I'm sure there's a lot out there. I mean, some of these easy plats are pretty quirky and whatnot, but a little bit more promotion for some of that stuff, and not, like Carl said, not getting kind of lost in the library of Game Pass, of having so many titles in there and whatnot, and helping some of these smaller titles really stand out. There's a game on Game Pass right now. Joel, you'd probably be able to help me out with this one. What is it? The Artful
Escape, or the Art of Escape, or something, that really quirky guitar.
Yes,
yeah,
that one.
That looks wild, hey?
Right. I saw something for it, and I'm like, that is, Joel, like, this is like right up your alley. I definitely want to make a point of pointing that game out on here, but stuff like that. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful and looks really, really unique, kind of, platformer almost, but really, promote these titles, like that, and it'll only help other developers.
Yeah, totally agree.
I mean, I guess where the Xbox model has got an advantage, especially when you talk about spiraling development costs. If you think £200 million development, so $70 a game, you got to sell to, let's say, 3 million games to break even, 2.8 million games to break even. So most of the Sony ones will probably do that. Like if you look at the big ones, talking most of them shift 8 to 10 million units. So at the moment, it's probably, you could probably take a bit of a risk, if your next God of War isn't that great, it's probably still going to shift 6 or 7 million. But if those costs go up and up and up, 300, 400 million, then the only way of mitigating that is by increasing the prices of the games. This is based on $70 games. So obviously, if you're trying to shift them games for $50, all of a sudden those margins are even tighter. So whereas something like Game Pass, it's a constant, isn't it? You're always going to get that churn of income no matter what. So I do think we'll see Sony adopt something similar before too long. I'd be surprised if we don't. I don't think it'll be as extreme as Game Pass, but it wouldn't surprise me.
What do you mean by not as extreme as Game Pass? Extreme as in cost?
I think you still. It wouldn't surprise me if Sony released something where it combines Now and combines Plus, but it doesn't include the brand new releases and things like that. I think they'll still want to sell those and still get the money for them.
Yeah.
But it will be perhaps a bigger indie offering and on-demand games, but perhaps not include that gold tier, of those new IPs.
Interesting. Yeah, I do. I was just thinking about in this context of this rising cost of development. Do they have to come up with a Game Pass? I mean, does this sort of problem that they're going to be experiencing, does that force them into needing the monthly subscriptions in order to mitigate the costs of this development and selling all those millions of copies of those games?
I think if they can nail down, and I've heard rumors of them having a PS3 emulator. Now, if they can get that down and have PlayStation Now turn it into, you can download all these titles and just have that subscription service to focus on their history, I think they seriously have something there. And that could really, and then you have your current gen where you go out and buy the games. Hey, fucking Battlefield's coming out, or that's, bad example, but the new Spider-Man 2 or what spoiler, that's coming out, and you're getting excited for that launch day. You're getting excited to go, and you put that, you save that money up, man. You've been getting that allowance, son. You've been saving that up. Today's the day. This is when's come out, and when you make that purchase, it always feels good. It feels good to spend money, doesn't it, boys? It always does.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And that just adds to experience, and you have a different outlook on a game that you went and bought and paid for, rather than something you're playing for free. In the end, your experience with the title is a little bit different. You're going to be more forgiving if the game is free rather than when you paid money, which I think is good. But if they wrap Now into just preserving their history and being able to play those games from PlayStation 3, PlayStation 2, even PlayStation 1 games on there, they find a way to really anchor that in, boys, that's where I could see them really succeeding with something along the lines of a Game Pass or a subscription service, because that their streaming hasn't been great. A lot of, if across the board, you can easily say it hasn't been great. There's people that have had, great experiences with it. A lot of people, not so much. But see get me in there. Get me in the boardroom. Let's go,
give Shane a call. Come on, Sony. That's a great idea. As long as you can funnel that cash that you're getting from that service to these new games for that development, yes. But does that mean, and I'll ask our corporate banker here, Carl, does that mean that they have to put the new games in that service, though? You're talking about not including those, but if you're going to directly tie development costs to that income, subscription service income, do they have to be tied together somewhat, or is your old library just such a low cost right now to put it out there that it doesn't matter? They don't need to give money to whomever from way back when. You just funnel all that money towards the new development.
Yeah, I think they can keep the two separate.
As they say in the banking world, it all comes out in the wash.
Unless you really don't want it to,
right?
I mean, I think they can keep them separate. They have got, Now is a fairly popular service. It's nowhere near as popular as Game Pass, obviously. But I think if they combine the two, they try and do something with it, and especially if it's the older first party titles and stuff like that. There's a lot of them. So if they can figure something out with that, and then maybe they drop, maybe they invest in that. They drop some new stuff on there as well. But perhaps just those AAA ones. You've got to pay that. You've got to pay for that. So I think that's the only way, unless they invested, and I'm not saying this is what Microsoft have done by any means, but obviously Microsoft have got Game Pass. It's been going for a while. they haven't got the AAA games that Sony has, whichever way you want to shake it. But that doesn't mean that they won't have. And what they have got is the peace of mind, if you like, of those subscription numbers, which, okay, it's not a guarantee, but once people are in the ecosystem, we know how difficult it is to come back out and do something else. So they've got the peace of mind of that cash is sitting there so they can invest that. It's less of a blind shot, isn't it, that Sony are taking and saying, well, let's raise 200 million, fingers crossed, that's, this next game is going to be a flyer. So, I think you will see Xbox churn out these quality games as they go forward because they have got the backing. They've got that cash sat there for a month from the subscriptions, but Sony have got to approach it a little different. I don't think they'll copy Game Pass. I just don't think that they will. And I don't see them giving these games, they're one of the people who want you to pay $70 for your game. So I don't think they're going to throw them in.
Yeah, I just think it gives Xbox more capability to take more. They can take more chances with the games that they're choosing because they have that steady stream of income. They're not as worried, perhaps, of selling you the discs. I think Sony can get away with the $70, not including it in their Game Pass or PlayStation Now or whatever they're going to do, because of their install base. You need that super large install base, right? If there's 500 million PlayStation 5s on the street, only 10% of your audience buys those games, it's still 50 million games sold. So that's having that. They've had that really large install base, which I think has also mitigated the risk, I think, of these taking chances like a Ghost of Tsushima. But let's be honest, they're not taking a lot of chances. And that's kind of what this guy was talking about here, Shawn Layden. We are now seeing another God of War, and we're going to get on in a minute here at the PlayStation Showcase. And I think as we go through this list, you're going to see evidence of this. They are now, today, taking less risks than they did maybe 2 years ago. And is that a good thing for Sony? I mean, best part of Sony to me has been those chances, has been those new IPs, those new games. Will we see that sort of diminished over time here?
With the right titles, I think so. Do you think we need another Last of Us? Do you think it's time for Naughty Dog to find a different subject matter or whatnot? Their games tend to all play basically the same, really. It might be time to just giving a good title, a couple sequels, and then working on to something else, like Guerrilla, who does the Horizon Zero Dawn franchise and whatnot. They just did a mass hiring spree to build another team to start working on a new first person shooter. Wonder what that could be. You don't know, but
Killzone.
So. Yeah, I'm definitely, I think a lot of people enjoy sequels, especially games that are, really well. You always want more, right? And sometimes, that added DLC just isn't enough, right? You want another, full-fledged 20, 30-hour campaign to go through, create more memories with that franchise. But then I think it's time to, really try something different. We might see that later in this generation. Who knows?
Yeah, we shall see. Well, let's get into that. We got the PlayStation Showcase. This is the biggest bit of news that's come out since we've last recorded. The PlayStation had a showcase. They had an online video presentation to show off some new games. First of all, I think the biggest one in there, or the biggest surprise, I think, was Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic Remake coming to PlayStation 5. And it's an exclusive, console exclusive to PlayStation.
Oh, wow.
I think it'll be available on PC, but will not be available on Xbox or Nintendo's Switch or whatever the hell else they come up with in the near future.
Stoked.
Yeah. Did you finish the first one? Or you sort of?
Yeah, I did.
You did. Okay.
Yeah, I started the second one a couple of weeks ago, and having had both for well over a decade, I thought it was finally time to jump into them and give them the love that they deserve. So the first game is a brilliant game, and obviously it's got to appeal to all your RPG fans and Dungeons and Dragons kind of people. But I'm not sure how big I love this. I think this is awesome because if ever a game needs a remake, it's and a complete remake, it's KOTOR for sure. But I don't know how much of a great thing this is, how much of an exclusive it is, how much of a string to their bow. Sure, it's very niche. Star Wars fans, I'm sure they'll love a new RPG and all the rest of it. But I don't know. I kind of think with things like this, it's like Bloodborne. People are like, I want a Bloodborne sequel. Bloodborne's amazing. Bloodborne's awesome. I've sold 2 million copies, so they're not going to, the best will in the world. It's not going to get a remake or a new version, all the rest of it. So I don't know, but we'll see what it looks like. If it looks awesome, because one good thing, the lightsaber combat was great, and it was just a really brilliant story. Really love the story, but yeah, be interesting to see just how hyped people are for it, or if people are bothered it's only on PC and and on the PlayStation.
And I misspoke; it's a timed exclusive, so it'll come to the other systems later on, but initially exclusive on PlayStation, and quite a turn of events because the first one and second one was exclusive to Xbox. It's kind of a surprise there that they got that on their system as the timed exclusive. Like that new game that's out right now, Deathloop, I'm now reading is going to be a timed exclusive as well.
Yeah.
It'll be a year, I think, before the rights are available for Xbox to put that same game out on their platform.
Yeah, that thing's got some great reviews as well. So it's looking like it's decent. So
for sure.
Not on my radar, but I'll pick it up at some point.
Going down the list here of all the games announced at PlayStation Showcase, Project Eve, which honestly I don't remember. Can't think of anything about that trailer. It's been a week or so since I've watched that. I can't recall what that is.
It's third person one with a lady running around. I thought it was almost like a Bayonetta kind of thing, I think, at first. But it didn't ring any bells with me. I don't know if it was a brand new IP or if it was a sequel to something long gone. But it looks all right.
The Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. That's not a console exclusive, but they announced the date there for that, March 25th, 2022. Obviously, it'll be on PlayStation 4 or 5. I think 4, right? Actually, it'll be on Xbox. And
yeah.
We've got Forspoken by Square Enix. Sorry, Shane, didn't mean to cut you off there.
Yeah. Tiny Tina's should be cool. Looks like it's going to be might be an expensive spring. Got all these these hot titles coming out.
The Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Extraction, January 2022.
Yay.
PS4, PS5. Here's a surprise. Alan Wake Remastered, which will be on PlayStation for the first time. It will be available October 5th. So, geez, a couple weeks away.
It's a classic Xbox title.
Yeah, 360, I think, right? So it's been a while.
Yeah, I never played it. I think was Quantum Break loosely based on that, or was kind of after it or something? I did play some Quantum Break, which is pretty good, but
same developer,
I played Alan Wake.
Same team, but I'm not sure if those were related.
Yeah, just remember there being like a little spoiler, an Alan Wake spoiler in there or something, or like a little Easter egg or something. I don't know, in a classroom or something, but it was a long time ago.
And Grand Theft Auto 5 coming to PlayStation 5, March of 2022. The game that just keeps on going. Talk about a moneymaker. They could have developed that thing for $200 million and made their money back and then some easily.
Oh yeah,
crazy.
At least 5 or 6 fold at this point.
Totally. That's a developer who can take some chances. Rockstar. See, their games print money.
Like fuck. There's they're doing the trilogy, the 3 Vice City and San Andreas, all being redone with the current engine and whatnot. Keep going. Let's see a Bully remake. Let's see the Warriors remake. How about that first Manhunt game? Let's see that remade in this. Ooh. There's some classic Rockstar games back then that definitely Bully and the Warriors. Fantastic games.
Yeah, I don't know if Manhunt would be a game that they could get away with putting out nowadays in this current world that we live in, right?
Probably not. I remember playing that. My mum was walking in the room, and I was like, "Look, I'm just killing this dude with a plastic bag," and she's like, "What?" Never mind.
You know what I mean?
They showed Ghostwire Tokyo, which they've shown before. Guardians of the Galaxy. This is a new. They announced this game previously, right? But they got a date here now, October 26th, 2021. A month.
I might pick that up. So, it's my birthday, so I think I might pick that up.
Rip.
I'd love my Marvel games and all. So it looks all right. Definitely looks a lot better, shaping up a lot better than it did originally when I first saw the trailer. So yeah, it might be one to grab.
We've got Vampire the Masquerade Blood Hunt. It's already out on Steam. This is a free-to-play battle royale game coming to PlayStation 5 and probably other consoles. Deathloop, which is already out. They showed that, but the showcase was before it was already out. That game, look for that on Xbox in 2022 when the timed exclusive is up. Kid Amnesia. Kid A. Amnesia. Radiohead and Epic Games. Coming in November, game based on that album. Looks like an interactive and visual version of the album. I'm assuming, I don't know, I couldn't tell what the hell was going on there, but it looks like some sort of interactive version of that record. Cool? I don't know.
Cool. Yeah, that was kind of my cool, I guess. I mean, there's a lot of diehard Radiohead fans out there, so
maybe it's gonna. I don't know. That was a weird one, but maybe the beginning of something we'll see a ton of. I could see bands doing this, right? They want to make some money. Selling records is not a thing really for a lot of bands right now. It's like everyone's just streaming songs. So in order to make some money, maybe they do something like this.
There's a handful of bands that could get away with doing stuff like this. But yeah.
Tchia or Chia. TCHIA. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong.
Chia.
This one looked pretty good. Tropical open world adventure. Reminded me of Breath of the Wild. Another game.
Right.
Borrowing from the success of Breath of the Wild and some of the gaming elements in that. Just the world here sort of reminded me of that. The fact that you've got a little glider jumping across or coming down from big mountains and things or whatever. It's inspired by New Caledonia. But looked pretty cool. That game was probably one of my favorites from the whole presentation.
Oh, nice.
Uncharted 4, A Thief's End, and The Lost Legacy, both those games being remastered for PS5 and PC.
Because why not?
Sure.
Right. Sure. Well, it gets them on PC, right?
True.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, they're great games, but we don't need. They're only last generation, for God's sake.
Wow.
I wonder if remastering them is somewhat cheap or something. I mean, why go to the trouble? Who's gonna? Everybody. A lot of the PlayStation 5 console owners, they all own PlayStation 4s, right? I mean, they probably already played this game.
Yeah, I mean, PlayStation Uncharted 4 is almost gave away another spoiler of Uncharted 5. Uncharted 4 is it's part of the PlayStation Plus Hits collection on the PS5. So if you own a PS5, you've got this anyway. Even if you never played it, it's sat there waiting for you.
Well, Sony has just bought that studio that does a lot of their remasters, so a lot of the new, so they have that in there, and it was probably in order to get it onto PC, and in doing that, they can easily do it. Why not?
Yeah, that's a good point.
There's a lot of followers, and Carl, yourself, I'm putting you on the spot here, brother. You're a fan of the series. I know this.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try to tell me otherwise. I'm not listening to it. You are a fan of the series, and there's many people out there that would, you know what? Hey, $49.95, basically the price of a cup of coffee nowadays, so easily pick that up and play through it again, in beautiful 8K or whatever. I don't know what it is nowadays, but, frame rate unlocked, as they say, all these terms and refresh rates. And now, here you go, Palmer. Now with haptic feedback. You're playing through it again.
Yeah,
you're playing through it again. I know
I
you
would play through it again. To be fair, I only thought about playing through it again a couple of months ago, but I thought I might as well play through the others first, because they were remastered on the PS4, and I haven't played those yet either on the PS4. So yeah, maybe they should do those with the PS5 as well. Probably counterproductive here. Anyway, let's talk about some new games.
Yeah, new games. These are all exclusive now. So the rest of these games that we're talking about are only on PlayStation 5. First one here is Marvel Wolverine. They didn't show much. It's being made by Insomniac. So it's made by the folks behind Spider-Man. I'm assuming. Same development studio, at least.
Yeah.
And they tried and true Marvel game. So here we are back on probably low risk, putting out a Marvel Wolverine game. You know that baby's going to sell like crazy.
It's going to be awesome. And I just hope that this combined with Spider-Man, that they're going to be able to put these in like their own MCU. Imagine, like,
fingers crossed.
Not for you two, but for so many games out there, if they end up making other games with the Marvel heroes in, and they can combine them together, oh god, it could be so good,
right? And especially with the studio like Insomniac, that that first Spider-Man game. I mean, I don't care if you're a fan of the series or not. That game is absolutely phenomenal. That is really something else, and I think a highlight from last gen, at least on the PlayStation side of things. But yeah, it looks like it's going to be quite a few years out though. I'd be surprised to see maybe 2024-ish.
Yeah, I'm thinking
maybe 2025 even, right? So
yeah, they didn't show much, right? They showed like a little bit of a bar scene.
Yeah,
the character logo. They're doing it. And that was about it. A little teaser there. Gran Turismo 7, which I think is probably much closer to release. They showed quite a bit of Gran Turismo 7. It gets you guys.
Put a date in there as well.
They did. I didn't put a date in the agenda. Do you remember what that was?
It's out in March.
Nice. There's your busy spring for you, hey?
Exactly. It's going to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
So hold on to that Christmas cash, because you're going to need it to buy stocks in ABOG.
That's right. Soon to be incorporated. Marvel Spider-Man 2 was announced. Fantastic.
Yes.
Great to see a sequel coming to that. 2023 is the date so far for that game.
Yeah, and they definitely showed some decent footage. So yeah, that definitely, I mean, if this is 2023, then Marvel's going to be probably at least a year after that. There's a lot, and then somehow, like Carl said, tying this in together, and they're gonna, in some night, this is a long contract that they're working on these. This is gonna be good.
And Venom is going to be in that game, and it made me wonder with the trailer they shown, is this going to be a co-op game? Because they showed some interplay between the two characters in the same scenes together, battling it out against the baddies. Could this be a co-op game? That'd be really rad if they could get Spider-Man in some sort of co-op, while still offering a single-player experience. Don't make it co-op, but you can do a co-op if you'd like. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'd love that. But yeah, they did show that interplay between Peter and Miles, and I think there'll obviously be, if you're playing it on your own, probably both playable characters at different points in the story and all the rest of it. But yeah, I'm hoping for that co-op experience. That'd be so cool.
Yeah, even if they just give you some missions or something that you can play with some friends online, that'd be great. And then last and certainly not least, God of War Ragnarok. We finally get some more meat to what this is going to be about. It's coming in 2022, which I would say seems ambitious. I'd be happy if they met that date there. This will be on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5. It's obviously a sequel to the 2018 God of War game, kind of the reboot. Atreus, the young boy in that game, is now a teenager of looks of it. In this game, not the squeaky puberty teenager, but maybe a little bit, maybe a year beyond the squeaky part. Young man. Let's go with young man. How's that? Better?
Right. After they drop.
Right. Right. Which I think is going to be a scene in this game, from what I hear.
DLC, you got to pay for that.
Yeah, I think they'll make 2022. I mean, it was meant to be this year originally, wasn't it? They were very much talking about that being a 2021 game originally, so I would hope 2022, but who knows? No idea with COVID here. So
they just showed that great kind of scene when they're in the boat and just kind of going through a little bit of a channel and whatnot. And wow, it's beautiful. That looks pretty incredible.
Sure does. The last one looked amazing on PlayStation 4. They were still getting some great life out of that console before they launched the PS5. But yeah, I can't imagine. Just from the looks of it, it's going to be great. And I love the story in the last one. And I want to play God of War for the story. Who would have thunk it? Right? Years ago, God of War was a hack and slash game, right? Now I want to play for the story. They've done a great job molding it into something that you care about as far as the storyline. Having the son, the father, relationship makes a huge difference.
And to think that was, almost that was a risk on its own, to reboot. I've had a little too much of the brute, I think. No, to reboot such an iconic series in the PlayStation stable, and a lot of people were, because there was the one on PS3 that didn't really do so well, and then just kind of not necessarily, threw a dart at this one, but just like, holy crap, like just a great title, and a lot of the fans are just really supportive of it, and here we are with a sequel to it, and looks like it's going to be out of the park as well. So
loving that Norse mythology stuff, and they showed a couple of character stills and the artist renditions of Thor and a couple of the characters on there, and they just look great. They look true to the old tales of Norse mythology. So we super stoked. I'm looking forward to it. And if you ever want to listen to anything around Norse mythology and the old tales of Thor and Odin or everything else, Neil Gaiman does a great audiobook, or you could read it for yourself if you're not as lazy as me. Norse mythology, it's great. Loads of great stories in there. It just when I'd listened to that already before I played God of War. So when I was playing through, and I was like, oh man, this is great. All these little things that are just true to the original writings and stuff. So very cool to kind of marry the two together.
Impressive showing overall. They finally, I'm starting to see the future of PlayStation 5, which up to this point has been kind of like, it's the next PlayStation. So you got that going for you. But now you're starting to see the roadmap laid out for the next couple years, and it's looking like a really good couple years with some of these games that they'll be coming out here. So hopefully, the computer chip issue that we have in the world right now, it's affecting all sorts of things, including cars, refrigerators, all sorts of appliances, and big time with these consoles. Hopefully, we can overcome that. Obviously, related to COVID, and get more of these boxes in some hands in time for all of these great games here coming out for PlayStation 5 here in the near future.
And not only chips, you also had that container shortage as well. So even getting goods over here is not cheap at all. It's pretty ugly and doesn't look like that's going to fix itself anytime soon either. So I think we're getting into a couple expensive years coming up with a lot of the goods, and especially when it comes to a lot of our hobbies and a lot of our favorite hobbies. There's a lot of manufacturing that happens overseas and whatnot, and we're all going to be fitting the buck on this one.
Yeah, well, good news for the world. In my neighborhood, where there seems to be a train about every fucking 3 minutes when I'm trying to get down the road, there's a lot of containers moving through my fucking city here. It's just massive containers.
Right.
Seriously, we have like 3 or 4 train tracks in my city. And it's just about every time I got to go and do something and I'm rushed for time, it's stuck behind one of these like 10-minute long trains full of containers. Oh. It's like, oh man, really? Bummer. Went for a bike ride yesterday with my wife. Stuck behind a train. Joined a nice ride. All of a sudden, we're hearing the train kind of behind us. There's a track right next to us. So I'm like, it's going to go right next to us. This is going to be kind of cool. We'll look at the train. Nope. Took a right. Trying to make a way down a different street. There's the train. Oh, we got to sit there and wait for like 10 minutes for this stupid train to go by.
Right. Practice your bunny hops.
First world problems here. But yeah, I thought just it's been a big PlayStation couple of weeks there. Great past stuff. Maybe some bad stuff with the $10 hike in the upgrades there with not the smart delivery. But then they laid out that PlayStation showcase and all those great games coming up. I think it's going to be looks like PlayStation 5 is going to be a hell of a console here, just like PlayStation 4 was.
Yeah, and before you know it, there'll be a lot more consoles in the wild and whatnot. And, the whole $10 upgrade, which we saw back on, going from, the PS3 360 generation to, Xbox One and PS4, it was there as well, and there wasn't, nearly the uproar about it, at least as it seems like it is now. But before you know it, a couple years down the road, this will be all forgotten about. And, we'd be hopefully more talking about, the great experiences from those games, rather than people upset that, they had to pay a couple extra bucks for, something that clearly costs an incredible amount of money to build and whatnot. So, throwing an extra, $10 in there is, I don't think that's too much to ask for whatsoever, regardless of what console it is, regardless, even Nintendo Switch or whatever, it's, it should be a little something for, jumping to the next gen, and it's always worth it. It always is. We always enjoy these games. Everybody does. You do as well. I know you do. So I'll enjoy it and, support these studios so they're around for a long time and can keep making sequels and not new IPs. So,
yeah, there you go. I think that jump from 50 to 60 was PlayStation 2 to PlayStation 3. That goes back a ways. Wasn't the PlayStation 3 games all $60? I thought that transition and now it's what, 15 years later?
Well, they had an upgrade thing, because I remember specifically on Battlefield 4 that when that came out, you an extra $10 and you got the PS4 version as well.
Okay.
They had little things like that but same kind of idea. It's just nobody likes to pay for anything.
Well, you get so conditioned to just paying what you pay, and it's like I'm just used to it now.
Yeah.
But I'll be much more careful spending $70 than I am $60. I have no idea why. It's $10, but whatever.
Yeah.
It just feels weird. I have to be conditioned now to the $70, and then I'll be fine in a year. Like, yeah, it's always been 70. Oh no, it wasn't. They just took it up $10. I forgot about that. Let's get on to what we've been drinking this episode. We've already got our beers flowing. I can see it in the glasses here with these two guys on video chat. And then after that, I want to hear Carl's thoughts on 12 minutes. Totally stoked to hear about that. Who's getting us started?
Well, I will, because I don't have too much left of this, and I'll just show it off, because it's a very pretty beer, a nice ruby kind of color.
Totally.
It's been decent, kind of into summer and whatnot. This is a bit more of one that you'd want to enjoy throughout the summer. I'm drinking a triple berry smoothie sour. Ooh. Damn near delectable, might I add. This is from our good friends at Paralell 49 Brewing in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is one of their new releases over the summer. Medusa.
Love it. It's
got a gorgeous label art of Medusa on there, and it's kind of got the metallic foil action going on. Good friend Steve Kitchen down at Combination 13 artwork, just really hit it out of the park on this one. Absolutely beautiful art. And you know what? Just as good as the beer as well, because the beer is, like I said, damn near delectable. It's a delicious one. I'm not a big sour guy, but sometimes you get into these double, triple, quadruple berry sours. They're pretty tasty, not too sweet, nice and tart. Perfect summer, Looking at you, Joel, you're out there. I know you're doing out in the lawn and whatnot, and man, these are good. And it weighs in 6.7. So it's actually one of the strongest beers I've had in recent memory, but it's a tasty one.
Nice. Well, Glass Joe there.
Right?
It looks gorgeous, doesn't it? It's a real good color.
It does. And you're right, Shane. The summertime is great for the sour. The fruited sours, I think. It's almost like a rum punch on the beach in beer form.
Nice. Right. Not the sours, because a lot of them end up just tasting like fucking cough syrup.
Really?
Or whatever. There's a lot of crap ones out there that I've had, but Parallel seems to knock them out of the park every once in a while, and this is no exception. So
we got to hook up soon, because I feel like I can bring some sours to the table.
Let's go.
To the table. You'll be like, oh, there's more.
We're doing after the show.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Well, speaking of packing a punch, I'm drinking what's it called? Triple Vision, aptly named from Vocation Brewery. Probably my brewery of the year. It's got a great little, not quite the Medusa that Shane's got, but it's got a 3 heads side by side. Opens up the third eye, this beer does.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a triple IPA, weighs in at 10%. So it's it's not one. It's not one you're going to have a few of these. Yeah, this is bedtime now. But it's it's a little haze to it, but it's actually quite see-through. You can see a little bit of that sentiment action in there towards the bottom.
It doesn't look like a 10%. It looks lighter, like by color there.
It tastes lighter. It's very much orangey. There's like a hint of lime in there. Like it's kind of it's got that bitterness, but the lime sets it off. It's a really nice beer. This is like one of their special edition ones. So I don't know how long it'll be around for, but yeah, I thought I'd have to try a couple. But 10%. You probably ain't having too many of these. But very, very smooth. It doesn't taste 10%.
Delicious, man. You guys got some good beers there today. I've got 1840, their latest beer. It's called Hop the Lake. It's a double IPA.
Ooh.
Being in Wisconsin here, if you know your geography.
I do.
Good. We are just a lake away from Michigan.
Correct.
The name Hop the Lake, this is made with a bunch of Michigan native hops.
Oh.
Yeah. There's some Michigan grown hops. They don't tell me which type of hops.
Ooh.
The
pride of Ann Arbor.
This brew highlights cashmere, copper, and paradigm. It's a double IPA, 8%. So settles right between Shane's and Carl's. And the color is more on the hazy side. Definitely lots of sentiment in there. But delicious. Kind of a sweeter, fruitier tasting almost. The Citra hop gives you that citrusy taste.
Ooh.
It's delicious. They also put out a two this week. They put out an Oktoberfest Lager. I bought just 4 of those because I'm not a big Oktoberfest beer guy myself. Not really an amber lager guy. But they also had a little party yesterday down at the brewery where they closed the street, put a bunch of picnic tables out, had some acoustic duo playing, some food trucks. Went down there, they were giving, or not giving away, but they had a limited available, like lager, what do you call them? It's not a pint glass, a stein.
Big Oktoberfest.
It's like a beer stein, like a mug. Yeah.
Actually, all the steins.
Yeah. So I bought one of those, and they filled it up with that lager. I figured I'd give, when in Rome, I'm buying the stein. Let me get the lager. Took one sip of that bad boy and had about 6 more. They were very, very delicious. So that I was going to have a Oktoberfest lager today. It seemed like just the right time to do that. But yesterday I enjoyed that lager so much. I never tried this Hop the Lake, even though they had it on tap there and it was brand new. So excited to pour this today.
Nice.
Cheers, guys.
Good looking beers, boys.
Thank you.
Cheers, boys.
Raise them glasses. You in your car, cutting the grass, however you're listening. Cheers. Carl, you've been playing 12 minutes. Tell us all about it. This game looks very intriguing.
Yeah. It's a real quick one, really. I think it was on an Xbox showcase a few months ago, and I thought what attracted it to me was the voice acting on there. So you got Daisy Ridley from Star Wars, or the new Star Wars movies, James McAvoy, William Dafoe, and I thought, I like a good voice acting in a video game, so I'll check it out. And it's almost kind of Hitchcock-esque, It's you're looking at it kind of top down, looking at an apartment, and basically this dude who comes home from work, and you basically play out 12 minutes of his life over and over and over again to try and figure out what the story is, what's going on. So you kind of come out to your wife, and she's like, "Oh, hey, how's your day been? I baked dessert," and it all goes off the rails very, very quickly. A cop comes knocking at the door, wants to arrest your wife, arrest you. And he's just after a particular item, and gradually, with each playthrough, you unravel the story of what's going on. It's kind of one of these things you have to go back, play again. Oh, let me just tweak that. Let me just check here. I'll pick this up, read this. And in each playthrough, you unlock a little bit more dialogue, a little bit more of what's going on, just to figure out the truth of what's going on, really. But it's quite pretty. It's done. It's presented quite well. It's very much. I'm playing it on Game Pass on the PC, obviously, so it's very, very easy to play with a mouse and keyboard, point and click almost. Probably easier with a controller, I'd say. But it's an interesting one. The voice acting is really good, but because it's 12 minutes, there's a lot of repetition. The dialogue is repeated a lot, and even with the likes of these fine voice actors, it just gets a little bit repetitive because of the nature of what you're doing when you're playing through and going over and over. The story is really strange, and it not in a good way. It's very bizarre. I've played through and done one ending, finished it once, and I was like scratching my head and thinking, what? Like it's just so outlandish and so bizarre, and just an awful story in the sense that there's very little payoff. It's really twisted and weird, but it's pretty unfulfilling. And I've only got one ending, but I've uninstalled it. I won't be playing through it again to get another ending for sure, because it was just too far fetched and ridiculous. There is no warning on this game. When you boot a game up and there's a warning saying, don't play this if you are X, Y, and Z, triggered by events, or you have depression, or anything else that might be sensitive to you. When you install the game on the Xbox Game Pass, you see there's a tiny little bit of white text that says, thriller, extreme violence. And you're like, oh, okay, all right, extreme violence. But when you boot the game up, it doesn't give you any warning or anything else. You go straight into it, like the clock's ticking around and you go into your apartment. In order to get the ending, or in order to actually get an ending to the game, and spoilers, if you're going to play this game, maybe don't listen to this bit because this is a little bit of a spoiler. You have to repeat the same actions over and over again, obviously. So you have to try out a few things. You have to kill yourself, kill your wife, repeatedly drug your wife. Because in order to get, first when the cop comes in, he has a different reaction. He doesn't just beat you up and or murder you. You have to attack the cop. You have to torture the cop. Like, it's just a dark. And there's me laughing at it now, but for someone like me, it's fine. I'm desensitized to most of this stuff. It doesn't really bother me. But I think if you're going to play this game and you're more of a gentler disposition, it's pretty horrible. Like, and it's not live action. It's not cutting edge graphics, so it's probably not going to bother you that much. But it's still pretty. There's a lot I can say without, but I'd spoil what's going on in the game. But the scenario that you're in and the situation that's unraveling only adds to to how uncomfortable it feels. Just repeating these actions to try and get to the right ending of it. It's just not a good experience. It could perhaps, if the story was a little bit less far-fetched and perhaps like a proper mystery, and maybe if the game wasn't 12 minutes but just a little bit longer, when you had a bit more variety of things to replay and all things to cut out and not do, it would have been a little bit different. So just a bit disappointing. Like it wasn't awful, and I think it takes not much time for you to play, if you want to give it a go. But it just feels like a missed opportunity.
That's too bad. What you're describing there, though, I mean, it reminds me of some of my favorite movies. Like, I'm a big David Lynch fan, and his movies make no fucking sense. So I got to watch them like 3 or 4 or 5 times, and then I think I understand what's going on, but I probably don't. It leaves a lot to interpretation. Is it that kind of style that they're going for here? That's
what they're going for. They're going for that kind of very abstract, very like things you don't see coming, and it's meant to unravel the more you play. But then the actual story just isn't worth the payoff isn't worth it, in my opinion. As you play through, and some of the things that you do have to do, and then when you realise like who you are, who she is, like and you realise the big mystery, it's kind of uncomfortable, to say the least. So maybe that is what they're going for. But it's certainly it is interesting at the beginning, like first couple of hours of replaying through the dialogue, but you soon find yourself trying to skip through the dialogue and all the rest of it. And you can do that. You can zoom through. You can skip through the things you've already done, and it does grey out the text that you've already kind of exhausted, if you like. So it's not like it's broken or anything like that. It just could have been done better.
Kind of curious to try this, even after you're saying it's just okay. Just the fact that it could be a really good David Lynch style of game. I pulled the David Lynch from the sky. It's probably a completely wrong comparison. The guy's freaking genius. Love that man.
I mean, I think they're definitely aimed for like a Lynch or Hitchcock, a freaky, disturbing kind of thing. But I think it's a very different experience when you're watching something like that unravel, or when you're participating in it. So when you're participating, and I'm only giving that opinion of, it doesn't bother me, but it could. I could see how this could bother somebody if they're playing through that and thinking, I'm stuck. What have I got to try? Maybe I'll do this, and it's just leaves a bit of a taste.
And it's on Game Pass, so that's good too. If you want to give it a
free.
try.
It's a small install as well. Like download it, give it a try. But I found it strange saying that I still finished it, so there you go. Persevered to get an ending. So
you tried all the different combinations of Wicked Tree to get you to the end there.
Of what? Sorry,
I made up a word. Wicked Tree.
I had no idea what that reference is, but yeah.
No, he did.
Yeah. Like you've murdered the cop, you murdered your wife, you drugged your wife, you did all the nasty, sadistic shit.
That a boy
to get you to the end. So it sounds like no spoilers, but it sounds like you got to try a lot of wicked crap.
Yes.
To get to the whatever the ending is. Again, it's hard to probably explain without spoiling it.
Yeah. Well, I could tell you guys after, but you do have to do a lot of bizarre stuff. Like, there's just, because it's very easy to get past the point of no return and like, shit, I've got to do that again. And then you have to go back and like, you have to do something deliberate and a bit nasty to get what you want to get. But, I guess if that is your thing, like, and you're very into horror perhaps, or you're very into like, those kind of movies, then perhaps like, it would be interesting. I just wish the story had been a bit less, a bit less far-fetched.
Are the events in the game, you mentioned how there's different dialogue that opens up, and although repetitive, you start to learn more, you discover more. Does it lead you down a path? Does it sort of make you realize that, okay, I have to do this here now after learning this new tidbit of information? Or is it literally trial and error? Because at first, when you're describing it, it seemed kind of trial and error, but...
Definitely trial and error at first, but then you do get to a pattern of... So... your character gradually realizes he's in a loop, and every 12 minutes he's reliving the same day. So he realizes what's happening. So he never forgets what's happened before. He retains that information as he goes through. So that helps your choices each time through. And there's little hints, but you do have to go through one line of questioning, for example, and you can only get so far until you go through another line of questioning. Then you go back to that one. So there's a bit of a flip-flopping back and forth, but I didn't get stuck very often. The only part, I got stuck on a couple of points where I wasn't going far enough in a line of questioning within the time frame. So I had to repeat those things over and over until I think, oh crap, okay, I haven't tried that, so let's try that. So there is elements of trial and error, but it's you're not completely blind in it by any means.
I think it sounds pretty clever and intriguing.
I think if it was just done a bit better, it could have been a much better experience. But it's just missed it for me.
Cool. Anything else, gentlemen? Got a pretty jam-packed show there. Before we shut her down for, I'd say, 2 weeks, but our schedules are going to continue to be difficult for a little while, so it might be a little longer than that. We shall see.
Yeah. Bear with us.
Yeah. All right.
Almost kind of reminds me of the old NES port of the game Chiller, the old light gun game where you had to torture a bunch of people and whatnot. It was great.
I've never heard of that one.
It was an unlicensed NES game after, who was it? Atari. I don't know. But yeah, I'm always on the lookout for a copy, but they're never anywhere close to being reasonably priced because they're so hard to find and not very many of them. So, but always down for some good torture, boys.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's go.
You did say you wanted a Manhunt remaster,
right?
So
definitely, man.
Yeah,
you kind of revealed that earlier.
That was a good game. But yeah, Joel, maybe maybe check it out. Like it doesn't take much time. If you want a game that you can pick up and play in half an hour and just do a few run throughs of it, like it's definitely good for that. So worth a shot.
Those are definitely my favorite. The half an hour pick up and play games. Well, if you'd like to support us, 3 easy ways you can do that. You can tell a friend. That's the easiest way. Leave us a review on iTunes or wherever you listen. Or you can join us over on our Discord server. Become a part of the community. All of that information is available to you at our website, abandofgamers.com. We're a podcast with a website. Why does a podcast have a website? So you can find out stuff like where to get on our Discord and see a picture of Shane. That's worth visiting the website right there.
That is true.
Yeah.
It's a great pick.
Right. It's pretty good. Is that the one with your 3D glasses? That the pic we have of you in there? It's been a while since I looked at that. No. Have you
I
updated
think
that
it's
one?
another one that's 18 plus.
Now people have got to check it out.
That's right. abandofgamers.com. Go check that out. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. See ya.